my goal is by the end of this 2 hours together, you've got, a really cool framework to set goals, but I want you to dream dreams. And I don't want you just to dream dreams, but I want you to accomplish dreams. I want you to live the life that you thought you were going to live when you got into this business. And I don't know about you. There were times during my 20-year career where I was on the highest of highs, and there have been times where I have been in the lowest of lows. And today we're going to leave here by being on a high. Can I get another amen? And here we go. SMART goals worksheet. We've got to start with understanding that you've got to set SMART goals. Setting SMART goals. If you're familiar with the acronym of SMART goals at all, you'll know that step number 1 of winning the war on profit is to set SMART goals. The S is specific. I put my notes on there for you to make it very easy. When you're setting a specific goal, what exactly needs to be accomplished? What exactly needs to be accomplished? And then I want you to really channel your inner 3-year-old, channel your inner 4-year-old, and ask yourself what and why questions until you get to the core answer. What and why questions until you get to the core answer. An example of that in just a minute. Measurable. How are you going to know the scoreboard? How do you know if you're on track? How do you know if you're ahead? How do you know if you're behind? Now, I want you to just kind of picture in your head for a moment. How many of you are going to watch, you watched the National Football Championship last week, or you're going to watch the Super Bowl here in a couple of weeks, right? Like, we watch sports primarily because there's a scoreboard. Imagine for me for a moment if this year at the Super Bowl, they decided not to keep score. We're just going to get a bunch of people together and play some football. How interesting of a game would that be? How many of you would agree that ultimately, if you're going to play the game, you got to know the score? Otherwise, what's the point? So I'm curious, if we'll do that for a stupid football game, how come we don't do that with life? If you're going to do it for a football game or a kid's peewee sports league, why on earth do we not treat the same amount of respect with life? What is your scoreboard? How do you know you're winning? Attainable. Have you ever done anything close to the desired outcome before? This is one of my favorite things back when I was an RSC, and I would ask people, what do they want, especially my veterans? Man, my veterans were so good about this. Hey, what do you want to do this quarter? What do you want to do this year? How can I help you? How can I serve you? I'm going to write $100,000 this quarter. I'm like, that's awesome. You did 27,000 last quarter. Would you explain to me how you're going to quadruple in one quarter? I'm going to work really, really hard. Okay. That's not going to work. That's not attainable. And I want to spend just a second on this and why it's so important. Y'all, we as human, there is 3% of the population, and I mean literally about 3%. And the 3% that I'm talking about tend to be in leadership or true sales management. And I don't mean management in a bad way. I mean true sales management or true sales leaders, true sales developers. And the 3% of us that are really good at this crap, we can set goals and then we can miss them by a mile. And we can be like, that's okay. Next quarter, woo, let's go. When the vast majority of our team, that demoralizes and destroys them. When you set a goal that is not attainable and then you miss it by a mile, what tends to happen to the vast majority of people is they get on what I call the death spiral down. Well, it's not going to matter because it didn't work. And since it didn't work, there's no point in me doing the work. And since I'm not going to do the work, I'm definitely not going to achieve the goal. And since I'm not going to achieve the goal, I'm not going to do the work. If you've ever been a DSC or an RSC or any type of sales manager or leader of people, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've seen people come in with the highest of hopes, the highest of expectations. I'm going to set the world on fire. I'm going to do awesome. And they work really hard for a couple of weeks and then they fall off a freaking cliff. And then we're left going, what happened? Desire. They didn't have the work ethic. They're just lazy. They're just an entitled no, dumbass. You don't know how to love on people and manage and lead them the right way. Oops. Oh, Zach's already fired up and we're only 8 minutes in. Sorry. If you want to accomplish your goals, set goals that are attainable and then relevant. I can't believe how many times I hear people set goals because somebody in their hierarchy or somebody in their life told them they have to set a goal. So they set goals that aren't at all relevant to what they want. So listen to me. I am not talking to you about setting goals for what your coordinator is asking you to do. I'm asking you to set goals for what you want to do with your life, with your family, and with your bank account. What is relevant to you? And is the thing you're setting the goal on necessary to achieve the true desired outcome that you want. I'm going to show you this in just a minute, but are y'all following me right now? Duh, Zach, this is like kindergarten, man. This is the easy stuff. I know we're going to go way deep in just a second, so buckle your seatbelt. And then last but not least, and I want you to write this down, highlight this, circle this. When do you want it done by? Time constraints create a positive pressure, and a goal without a deadline is just a dream. And there's nothing wrong with dreams. I'm a dreamer. I love to dream. But how many of you know, and how many of you have been there before? How many of you have had dreams? Now, I'm not talking about the kind that you lay on your pillow at night and you have a dream. I'm talking about a dream of something you want to accomplish with your life, a dream of who you want to become, a dream of what you want your children become, a dream that you're going to get out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle, a dream that you want to have more money left over at the end of the day than what you've got bills, a dream that you can take your family to Disneyland, a dream. You follow me? A dream. How many of you have had dreams in the past and you've let those dreams stack and they don't come true? They don't come to pass. And how many of you found yourself walking through the valley of the shadow of death, angry, frustrated, disappointed, feeling like a failure, feeling like, how come everybody else has it together and I can't get it together? What's wrong with me? You have enough dreams that never come true and you'll soon forget how to dream. Time constraints create positive pressure. A goal without a deadline is only a dream. How many of you know it's true that we as human beings, 99% of us tend to procrastinate, right? And we do some of our best work when? 72 hours before the deadline. Let's go. We got to get there. Do you have any idea if I told you the story of what happened over the last 2 weeks from Christmas to today I wanted to cancel today's meeting so bad. Every fiber of my being wanted to shut January 12th off and move it into a future date. I wanted to cancel January 12th. Today wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't ready. Some really bad crap went down. Well, I'll just tell you right now. I have 7,000 Aflac agents on my email list. 7,000 that have opted into stuff and done stuff with me over the years. 7,000 at us.aflac.com email addresses. Anybody want to take a guess what Aflac did on December 23rd? Blocked my domain. I had 3,000 people clicking on my emails, opening my stuff, going to YouTube, doing all the things that I do to serve people, and they shut my domain down. Well, they didn't shut it down. They blocked the domain from being able to be delivered. It's frustrating. Don't know why. Don't know how it happened. Doesn't matter. It's one of those setbacks that you just feel the gut punch where you just got the wind knocked out of you. You ever been working on something so big and you're just so excited about what you're working on and how it's going to help people and help your family and all the things that you pour into, and then something happens where a nuclear implosion just takes it all away from you? But man, having the January 12th deadline made me get my act together quick. And we went from having 0 people to 92 of you on this call today. Thank you for being here. Give yourselves a great big hand. All right. So let's put this in real practical application and see what this actually looks like. So when I often see people set goals, here's an example of what not to do. What not to do. What is your goal? I want to make more money. Why do you need to do that? Because I need to make more money. Well, when are you going to do that by? As soon as possible. Well, how are you going to accomplish that? I'm going to work harder and make more calls. How many of you have said something stupid? Something like this. All of a sudden, the chat room goes quiet. That's my goal list. How did he know? Where does this live on your calendar? Every day. I have to do this work every day. Duh. Well, what's your reward when you do it? I won't be broke no more. I totally believe and trust that you're going to get there. Yay! How many of you have set goals or you've seen people set goals kind of like this? And how often do these come to pass? I'm just curious. Was any of this in here? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound? Was any of it? So check it out. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to work together, and I want you to fill out your workbook now you've got page 2. It's my page 3, but your page 2. Step 2, your action plan. Here would be a much better example of what this might look like. What is your goal? I want to earn $100,000 in first-year commissions in 2024. How many of you would like to get to a 6-figure first-year income in your role? Anybody? That's $100,000 of new revenue. That's not including your renewals. Woo, baby. I already make more than that. Good for you. Yay. Add 100 grand to your income. I want to qualify for a national awards trip. Maybe it's to Costa Rica. And that means I'm going to write $350,000 of level 1 AP with no broker splits. We're going to write $350,000 of level 1 AP, no broker splits. Now, there's a lot of you on the call today, like a lot of you that don't even know what I just said. You don't know what a broker split is. You don't know what that means. You don't know what, how many of you, I'm just curious in the chat window, how many of you are carrier reps? Like you sell a lot of carrier-based insurance with Aflac, Colonial, Allstate, Unum, whoever, I don't know. Oh my gosh, tons of y'all. Okay. Then let's just leave it at this. If you want to make $100,000 in the insurance business, you got to write $350,000. If you're with Aflac, it's $350,000 level 1 AP, no broker splits, no CITs, no DSCs. Like you'd have to have a level 1 contract with no splits coming out of that. And we'll talk more about that probably at a different time. Why do you want to do that? Now, check out the difference in this person's goal. You see this part right here that's highlighted? It says order from the left side of the menu. So real quick, one of the things I used to tell all of my new associates is if you truly want to understand what it's like to have success in the insurance business or success, the first marker of success for me was when I got to order from the left side of the menu. Now, what the heck does that mean? It means that my entire time growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of resources. We rarely went out to eat. And when we did, I had to order from the right side of the menu. And when I was in college and when I graduated college and when I started life on my own, I was very accustomed to ordering from the right side of the menu. What does that mean? Somebody put it in the chat window. There we go. I don't know who said it. Who said that? Who said that? Oh, crap. The thing's moving too fast. Yeah, you look at the price first and you're just scanning the prices. And as soon as you see something below $10, you look to the left and you're like, meh, rabbit food salad with carrots. That sounds delicious. I think I'll order that, right? You order from the right and you read left. And if it's not something that will gag you, that's what you go ahead and order. Why? Because price is your paramount concern. I remember when I very, very first started making enough money where all of a sudden I was able to look at the left side of the menu, read and go, oh, that sounds delicious. I want that cowboy pork. That sounds delicious. Let's order it anyway. That's a fun marker of success when you can start ordering from the left side of the menu. Or story might be, and something I enjoy getting to do, occasionally when we go out with our family or we go out with the big group of our family, oftentimes we'll pick up the check. It might be a $2 or $3 or $4 or $500 tab and we're able to pick up the check. Why? Because when you hit your what-based goal, your SMART goal, and why do you want to do that? Man, I want to order from the left side of the menu. Or I need to get serious about saving more money for retirement. My kids are growing up way too fast. I want to create memories with them, spend more time doing family stuff. Does anybody feel something like that in your soul? When do you want to achieve that by? This calendar year, December 31st, 2024. But this person didn't stop there. They said, in fact, when I have to achieve it by is Q1, I need to write $65,000 in premium. I'm going to get $20,000 of that from my existing book based on historical data. And that means I'm going to need $45,000 in new groups. I now know Q1, I need 65, 20 from existing, 45 from new. How many of you already feel like this person might have a serious chance at hitting their goal? Q2, Q3, Q4, you get the point. How are you going to accomplish this? Now, this is what I call PYF. This is one of my, I stole this from a podcast years ago. I don't remember the guy that was speaking. I'd love to give him credit. But he was talking about goal setting in a way that I had never heard anybody ever speak about goal setting. He said, goal setting is great unless you forget to PYF, plan your failures. And I was like, what? And I wanted to disagree with him. And I was like, you don't think about failure? What's wrong with this guy? Until he explained his logic. And I'm like, this dude is genius. How many of you have ever set goals before? Some of you set goals on January 1st of how much weight you were going to lose or how much health food you were going to eat. It's January the 12th and you've already failed at your goal, but don't raise your hand. And the reason for that is you didn't plan your failures. We set goals often, and then we often forget what trips us up, right? So the plan your failure, what I like to talk that about is truly what is your plan? What is your sacrifice? What are you going to give up? What are you going to guarantee that you do to bring this thing to pass? I don't care about your Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 time-bound goal if you have not planned your failure. Plan your failure. I'm going to do bar activity on my pipeline 12 out of 13 weeks each quarter. I'm going to maintain 250 qualified prospects in steps 1 through 8 of my pipeline. And I will have my 250 pre-qualified prospects in my pipeline by April 1st. How many of you know, amen and hallelujah, this freaking person will hit their goal? Somebody puts a goal like this in front of me and they've thought through it and they understand how they're going to go about it. They've planned their failures. There's only one thing left for me to know they're going to do it. And that's the next part of planning your failures, is I want to know, where does this live on your calendar? If your goal was to lose a certain amount of weight, or to exercise a certain number of days, or to burn a certain number of calories, or to earn a certain commission check, or whatever it is, I don't care what the dumb thing is, then I want to know where it lives on your calendar. And when you look at me and you say, it lives on my calendar Mondays from 9 to 11, it is nothing other than pipeline prospecting LOF. And on Thursdays from 3 to 5, it's blocked. I don't do anything else. I don't do enrollments. I'm not available for appointments, because my most important prospect, my most important client, my most important business activity is pipeline prospecting and LOF, and I'm giving 4 hours a week to this. Amen. Hallelujah. If you'll do what I teach to do in 4 hours a week, 10% of your week is a 6-figure income, and most of you aren't making the level of income you want because you're not doing the correct level of activity, and you sure as hell aren't doing it intelligently. 4 hours a week doing what I teach you to do in terms of building and maintaining your pipeline through the LOF process, you will, and I can say this with complete authority and conviction because I have done it and I've taught many, 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 many others to do it, 4 hours a week will maintain a pipeline. Now, it's going to take you a hell of a lot more than 4 hours a week to build the pipeline to 250, but once you got that sucker built, 4 hours a week of maintenance. Anybody feel like they're getting something right now? This person, 4 hours a week, high five. I love it. As long as they stay committed to it, they will crush it. And then something I brought back. I used to do this back when I was a region. I called it NELA. NELA, never eat lunch alone. So I'm actually been thinking a lot about this in 2024. And I thought I want to start NELA Wednesdays again. So this Wednesday coming up, I have lunch with a dear old friend of mine, an old Aflac friend from many, 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 many years ago that I'm going to have lunch with that I haven't seen in years. Why? For no reason whatsoever other than it was a goal to never eat lunch alone again. I'm intentionally once a week booking a lunch date so that I can go to a networking event, a chamber event, go eat lunch with a friend, go with a coworker, go with a hierarchy person, like whatever. Am I working on relationships? Am I working on some mental health? Am I pouring into people? Never eat lunch again Wednesdays. How many of you like the idea of NELA Wednesdays? It's a fun idea, right? And then on second Fridays, every second Friday, I have a networking group, a networking event, a chamber, whatever it is. Now, if this person set their goals, their goal was to make $100,000 in additional commission above and beyond their renewals, to write $350,000 in level 1 premium with no broker splits. They know why they want it. They've got the plan and the timeline to do it in. They've got bar level activity against their pipeline, and it lives on their calendar technically 4 times during the week. How many of you know, amen and hallelujah, this person's coming hard in the paint?
This is important, that when you're setting your goals for that quarter, that 12 weeks, that story, that you are also telling yourself what you will reward yourself with when you accomplish that thing.
Do not skip the last step right here, y'all. Do not skip the last step of planning your goals. So you've planned your failures and you've planned your failures. You planned your failures by how you're going to do it, where it lives on your calendar. Now R&R. R&R is not rest and relaxation. It's rewards and recognition. Do not skip the reward and the recognition. For example, I would highly encourage you, when you're filling out your goal worksheet today, and you get down to the last one, reward when you do it, give yourself a micro win. Like when you accomplish your first quarter goal, what is going to be the reward and recognition you give yourself for accomplishing that? So somebody gave me an example of something they could give themselves in Q1 when they hit their goal. Something for me might be, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but I love to give things that are for other people. So for me, I would plan an overnight, simple little romantic weekend getaway with my wife we would disappear to the JW Marriott for a night, have a ridiculously overpriced dinner, and have a blast for a couple $100. Spa day. I love it. Keep momentum for the rest of the quarters. A weekend away with my wife, buy dinner for my family, pedicure, get away. All right. So yeah, y'all get it. The point is, have little micro wins along the way and celebrate those wins like crazy as you accomplish them. And then your bigger ones might be, well, hey, when I do all of this, I will automatically earn the awards trip to Costa Rica, and I'm taking my +1 with me. And I'm also, that's the company's paying for that. That's an awards trip. Also going to take my kids to Disney World because I've been dreaming of that. I want to take them to Disney. So that when I accomplish my year Q1 goal, I'm gonna do a little romantic weekend getaway, a spa day, a pedicure, whatever, right? But when I do the big one, when I go 4 for 4, when I crush this thing, when I hit my goal that I set for myself, I'm taking the kids to Disney World, and then I'm going on that company paid trip. All right. So we're going to come back to that at the end of the workshop. We're going to actually workshop through a couple of these things. So be prepared for that when I'm able to come off of mute. All right. Let's go to step 3. Now that we have literally established our action plan, we've set a SMART goal. We know what our motivation is. We've bound the thing by time. We planned our failures through how. We planned our failures through where. We've got our reward and our recognition dialed in. Now that we've done all that, it is time to now put the meat behind all of this. Because if we're being very, very honest, most of us kind of stop. If we get this sophisticated at goal setting, we stop right here, and we believe, because we've been told, that if you simply write it down, it's much more likely to come to pass. Is that true? If you write it down, is it automatically more likely to come to pass? I'm getting anything from not automatically to you still got to work. Yeah, absolutely. You still got to work, right? But as long as you're actually putting the effort out there, if you wrote it down, it's more likely to come to pass. That is true. However, if you want to get laser freaking focused on this stuff, like laser focused, you've got to be able to then move into the actual meat, not just the fluff, not the cute stuff. So let's go. Next page, declare war on profit. This is where sales becomes ridiculously fun. How many of you have been told throughout your career that sales is just a numbers game? How many of you have been told that? Sales is just a numbers game. Like, listen, it's just a numbers game. If you're not making enough money doing what you're doing right now, you know what you need to do? All you need to do is make more calls, more activity, more calls, talk to more people, work harder, increase your activity. It's just a numbers game. If you make more calls, you'll talk to more people. And if you talk to more people, you'll make more sales. All you need to do to fix your problem is simply work harder. Now, I don't know. I could be completely wrong on this, but how many of you truly believe in your heart that you're working pretty darn hard? Could you give a tiny bit more effort? Probably. Could you also maintain being a wife or a mom or a husband or a son? Probably not. Something's going to have to give. But how many of you feel like I am putting a lot of effort out there? I'm not sure that if the answer to me growing is doing even more effort, I'm not sure I want to grow that bad. Like maybe I'd be better off to just go get a freaking job. Please. What we're going to do right now, guys, is so freaking powerful. Like it's so good. Step 3, declare war on profit. Sales is a numbers game, but it is not at all the numbers game you've been taught. Fill in the blanks are already filled in for you. It's will times skill. Will multiplied by skill, multiplied by contract. If you know anything about math, you remember the order of operations. The order of operations tells you that anything inside of the parentheses comes first. That's what you got to do first. So real simple, you have to have the will first. Then you have to multiply your will by a certain skill level. And then once you've got that number, it's then multiplied by your contract. I don't care how lucrative or how good or how amazing your contract is. If you don't have the will and the skill, your contract is worthless. If you have a crappy contract and amazing will and skill, you're still going to be profitable, just not as profitable. But when you dial in will, when you dial in skill, and when you have the right contract, holy freaking crap. So how do we do this? Well, we're first going to measure our will. And I mean, quite literally, measuring your will is not near as hard as you think. This is why, if you've ever heard me talk at all about bench and bar, this was one of the foundational principles that helped us achieve all the things that we achieved throughout those years at Aflac. If you're not willing to give yourself 50 outbound DM attempts every single week, now listen to me. I am not talking about 50 cold calls a week or 50 cold calls a day or 50 cold calls an hour. What I am talking about is you should have a pipeline of 250. Say yes. 250, say yes. You should have a pipeline of 250 prospects in it. You should be talking with, calling on, emailing, stopping by, whatever it takes, 50 of those 250 every single week, building what? Building what on that 250? 50 per week, building what? Oh, some of y'all know. Relationships, no. Not Jeff. I mean, I love it, but no. Chris, not relationships. Jill, familiarity. LOF. Credibility, no. Qualified leads, no. Rapport, no. Okay, so that means I got to spend a moment on this. If you have not watched the video that I talk about on YouTube called The Best Follow-Up System I've Ever Seen or something like that, it's about a 10 or 15-minute video. Please put that on your list right now. Go watch Best Follow-Up Ever on Zach's YouTube channel. Go watch it, because in that 15 minutes, it's not even 15 minutes. I think it's 8 or 9 minutes. Bench 50, bar 100 DM attempts per week. So once again, follow me here. If you've got a pipeline of 250 and you're doing 50 attempts at that pipeline each week, how many weeks worth of a pipeline do you have? If you're a bench player at 250, you have a 5-week pipeline, which means you're going to literally touch every single one of those prospects once every 5 weeks. Right? And then if you follow the methodology that I teach, that as soon as you make contact with one of those 250, that is 1 out. And then what are you supposed to do next? 1 out, 2 in, 1 out, 2 in, 1 out, 2 in, 1 out, 2 in for the rest of your freaking career. 1 out, 2 in. Now, I know that we're all rocket scientists here, but your choice to build your pipeline is to work harder, make more calls, and constantly be on the roller coaster of up, down, up, down, up, down, or you can just do the climb to the top of the mountain once, get to 250, and then maintain that sucker. Which one do you want to do? Climb once and then maintain. Well, then, I mean, a really, really simple question is, then how come you're not doing it? 50 attempts a week at that pipeline will build the law of familiarity. Now, let me just spend a second on this. The video on YouTube, Brian dropped the link. Go watch it. I'm not going to spend time doing something I've already done for you on YouTube, but I will tell you this, okay? It is not to build relationships. It's not to build credibility. It's not to build rapport or all those other things that you said. You have got to make sure that you understand the psychology of the law of familiarity, which I go great detail in that YouTube video. And that will help unlock the door for you to realize that, listen, when do you build relationships? Relationships are built through value being exchanged. And the easiest, fastest way to exchange value is in a business relationship. When they have given you their checkbook, credit card, defined contribution, allowed you to see the employees. I have some of my best friends today started out as clients years ago, but I do not work hard to build them as friends so that I can then earn their business. If you've got some of that stinking thinking going on, I strongly encourage you to at least challenge yourself on what I just said. 50 to 100 DM contacts per week. If you have 100, if you're going to be a bar player, and here's what I used to tell my team with Aflac, here's what I tell my team today. If you give me bar level activity, I will make sure that the coaching that you receive is equal to a 6-figure income. If you give me bench, welcome to the team. You're going to be profitable, and one day you're going to get to order from the left side of the menu. If you give me bar, we're going to go set the world on fire. Bench is 50 DM attempts per week. Bar is 100 DM attempts per week. That's it. It's 50 minimum, 100. I wouldn't necessarily say maximum, but here's the truth. You won't need and / can't do more than 100 when you get good at what I teach, because you're going to schedule too many damn appointments. And then you have a very high-end problem. When your skill set goes above your pipeline, you have a very high-end problem. And let's worry about that problem when you actually have it. How about that? Pay attention to this right here. How do you know your will? Your will score. How many of you have ever dealt with accountability issues? Like, I need somebody to help hold me accountable. I just need to hold myself more accountable. I need accountability. Okay. If that's you, that's a really good thing to know and recognize about yourself. Congratulations. And that is what bench and bar will do for you. A 1 week bench and bar number is nothing other than a will-based number or an accountability number. Did you? If you've ever hung around me for long, you've heard me call it the Yoda principle. Do or do not, there is no try, right? Do or do not, there is no try. Did you or did you not get to bench? Did you or did you not get to bar? Period. Don't care about vacation. Don't care about being sick. Don't care about what happened with the kids. Did you or did you not? Kids sick. I was home. I took care of them. I did not get to bench. High five. That's all that matters. You didn't do it. Fine. Congratulations. Your skill-based score is a 4-week rolling average. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks is skill. A will score is an accountability score. It's 1 week, did you or did you not. A skill score is 4 weeks added up together. 4 weeks added together is your skill score. Here's the beauty. Like I used to tell my team with Aflac this all the time, and I need to do a better job of even telling my BenDoc team. But the truth is, are you allowed to take a vacation? Are you allowed to take personal days? Are you allowed to decide on a Thursday afternoon that, you know what? I'm done this week. I'm taking off. I'm going to play golf tomorrow. I'm going to go take the kids out of school. I'm going to go up to the mountains. Screw it. I'm going to just take some time and go play. Are you allowed to do that? I mean, not only is the answer yes, Jill, only if you make your numbers. Boy, I don't agree with that, quite frankly. There are some days, now this is assuming that you're disciplined, and this is assuming that you have the heart and the desire to actually do this work. So will 1 week, skill score 4 weeks, benchmark 1 quarter. When you stack 1 quarter on top of each other, y'all, 13 weeks or so on top of each other, it is a fact of where your skill set is at. And here's the really, really cool. Once you know where your skill set is based on your bench bar activity, do you think you might be able to start to improve the score? What did we talk about a moment ago with regards to a scoreboard? How in the world do you expect to play the game? Connection is awful. How do you expect to play the game if you don't have a scoreboard? Now we're going to measure your skill. DM handshakes to DM scheduled. So if you're taking notes with me, you're going to want to write down in your book, how many did you meet? How many decision makers did you meet versus how many did you actually schedule? How many did you meet versus how many did you schedule? That's a ratio. I met 5 and I scheduled 1. What would your skill set be on DM handshakes to DM scheduled for that week? It'd be 5 to 1 or 20% is what I think Jeff is saying. 20% or 5 to 1. Fantastic, right? Now, what did I just say about a 1 week number? What is that good for? What is a 1 week number good for? It's good for will or accountability. That's it. Do we get excited about a 5 to 1 on a 1 week? If our 1 week score was 5 to 1, do we get excited about that? No, we do not. What if our 1 week number was 5 to 4? Like we met 5 and scheduled 4. Do we get excited about that? Y'all are like, yes. From a coaching perspective, the true answer is no. A 1 week is still worthless. Anybody can have a good week. Anybody can have a bad week. And that is why pay attention to the measure your skill down here that we're working on right now. You might want to just jot a note down. When you're measuring your skill, you measure it in 4 week and 13 week, 4 week and 13 week. So you measure will by the week, you measure skill by a 4 week and a 13 week. If you wait 13 weeks to ever even look at it, too little, too late. If you wait 1 month to look at it, you can make true adjustments as you go through your bench bar activity. Is anybody learning anything right now? Come on. Is anybody learning? Because this right here is good stuff. DM scheduled to DM ran. Now I want you to think about these goals that we set above. This person that wants to make $100,000 a year, if they did all that goal setting and now they're declaring war on their profit, they're going through their will, they're going through their skill, and they're looking at 3 numbers, y'all. Measure your skill. There are 3 numbers. All of you at every single point in your career need to know these 3 numbers. Your DM handshakes to scheduled. In other words, contacts to schedule, scheduled to ran to open, or whatever you want to call it. But the way we define it is DM ran to Jack and Jill defined contribution. Now, if you are still in the environment where you like to open at no direct cost to you accounts and you're still selling pre-tax savings and you're still selling wellness benefit bullcrap, then knock yourself out. That's totally up to you, I guess. But if you want to move your skill set and learn how to make a six-figure income, you're going to have to start learning how to sell need on value and then getting defined contributions. Big, nice, juicy defined contributions. Can I get an amen? DM scheduled to DM ran. How many did you schedule versus how many did you run? How many did you run versus how many did you close? Or in my case, what I would call a defined contribution. Now, just below that on your workbook, I can't remember what this column right here says. Your workbook, I think, says your skill set ratio, and that's because you need to fill out your skill set ratio. But if you're curious to know what the national average was, now this is the national average back when I was still accessing all the data. I don't necessarily know exactly what it is today, but my gut tells me it's only worse, not better. Does anybody know approximately how much activity, or we would call handshakes, to decision makers scheduled? Put in a number. How many contacts do you have to have in order to schedule an appointment? If you think you know approximately what your number is, or what your team's number is, 8 to 1, 15 to 1, 20 to 1. Wow. Really? 10 to 1 for Darlene, 15, 30, 5.
So maybe let's clarify. A DM handshake is when you actually get that decision maker on the phone, or you are in their lobby and you're shaking hands with them and you start that dialogue, correct?
Yes.
Put in the ratios for when you actually make connection with that decision maker and they say yes. So does it take 4 handshakes to 1 yes? Does it take 30 handshakes to 1 yes? That's what we're looking at.
Yep. Thank you for that. That's good. That makes sense why some of those numbers were so high. Okay. Yeah, those numbers look a little bit better, but here you go. If you want to know the national average, and this is based on an awful lot of data that I had that I actually ran, it was 10 to 1 or 10%. For every 10 decision makers that we would get on the phone or in the field, they would come out in the lobby and greet us. Brittany, your answer is my favorite answer on all of this because everybody else is full of crap. Nobody tracks this stuff the way that they should. So Brittany, thank you. You get a gold star. It's 10 to 1 or 10%. Every 10 decision makers that you meet, one of them says, well, 7 of them said, no, not right now. Call me back later. I'm not interested. And you overcame their objections and did all your jiu-jitsu stuff. And you finally get 1 out of 10 to say yes to you, right? There's your gold star. Yay. All right. So 10 to 1. Your DM scheduled to your DM rans, man, those were awful. I was surprised at how bad this was. It was 3 to 1. How many of you schedule an awful lot of appointments, or you, especially new associates? Man, they schedule a lot of appointments only for 2/3 of the appointments to cancel, push, or no-show. 2/3 of appointments cancel, push, or no-show. It's horrible. And this is one of the problems when your hierarchy tells you go do more activity. What the frick does it matter if you do more activity if 2 out of 3 are canceling? Oh yeah, and then not even the actual decision maker. That's a whole nother problem, Jill. Okay, so now we've got a big problem at 3 to 1. 66% or 2 out of 3 are canceling, pushing, or no-showing. And then this one is terrifying. It takes 6 ran appointments in order to get 1 closed deal. And that's not including defined contributions. That's just ran appointments to AAOD or whatever it's called these days. 6 to 1, 17% close rate. Like awful. Hoping that most of you aren't quite there because that's rough. But if you want to know why it's so freaking tough to make a really, really good living in the insurance business these days, it's because of this right here. Oh, Jill, no, honey, not even close to 10% of agents make it. It's single digits. Insurance business hasn't been in 10% and double digit category in 20 years, maybe more. And this is the reason why right here. Like I'm showing you in black and white. Well, I'm showing you in blue and white on screen, which means, like, let's just boil this down. If you take 10 to 1, 3 to 1, 6 to 1, here's how math works. You take 10 times 3. 10 times 3 is 30. 30 times 6 is 180. Here's what that means, y'all. Here's what that means. It means that you have to do 180 contacts with decision makers. You have to shake their hand in the lobby, or you have to get them on the phone. Contact has to be made 180 times for you to close a group. So you know what? If you're not as profitable as you want to do, you know what you need to do? You know what you need to do? You need to go do more activity. You need to go make more calls. Listen, you stupid. I will get so angry at this stuff. It's impossible to grow a profitable career at 180 to 1. If you want to know why you've burned some of your marketplaces to the freaking ground, where they say, don't ever call me again. Take me off your damn list. I'm going to, da-da-da-da-da-da. If you hear that kind of stuff, it's because they've been called on 180 times. Now, even if my audio is cutting out, you're probably hearing me scream. Lord Almighty, people, this is the crap that we've been doing to our marketplace. You cannot build a successful career at 180 to 1. You would be better to either declare war on profit and fix your freaking skill set, or quit. Go anywhere else and make more money than a 180 to 1 ratio. Before some of you are super high and mighty on your high horse saying, well, thank goodness I'm nowhere close to that. I'm killing it. I'm not even close to 180 to 1. Cool. Good for you. Let's look at your 1099. I want to see how much you're making versus how much activity you're putting in. Because unless you're at war on profit benchmark, so WOP benchmark, this is where we expect, if you're going to declare war on profit, this is where you have got to get your ratios to. If you get your ratios to this right here, you will be a very, very successful insurance agent. You'll be in the top 1/3 of insurance agent commissions in the entire United States. The average life and health insurance agent in the United States of America makes $66,000 a year. The average life and health insurance agent in the United States of America makes $66,000 a year. Go look it up for yourself on the Department of Labor website. This war on profit benchmark will put you right in with a bench bar activity on a 250 pipeline. War on profit benchmark is 6 figures. War on profit benchmark is 6 figures. 5 to 1, 5 to 1, 4 to 1, 30 to 1. Now look. Man, my screen should be blowing up with mind-blown emojis and angry faces and happy faces and all the things. Because if you guys understand what you're looking at on screen right here, look, exact same amount of activity, but instead of 10 to 1, you get it to 5 and 1. Exact same amount of activity, but instead of 2 out of 3 canceling, 2 out of 3 run. Exact same amount of activity, instead of taking 6 decision makers to close a group, you run 4 and you get a defined contribution where they see so much value in what you're doing, they hand you their checkbook. And handshakes to profit mean for every 30 handshakes that you get a new group. For every 30 handshakes that you get a new group. Holy freaking crap. Same activity. Do you want to be 180 to 1 or 30 to 1? Do you want to be 180 to 1 or 30 to 1? Jeff says, thanks for that light bulb. Jeff, I'm going to be curious as to which light bulb that would be helpful. Brittany, this is depressing. Not at all. Nathan, Brittany, man, it's not depressing at all. Well, I mean, I get it. It kind of is. But it's not, because once you have knowledge, what is knowledge? Knowledge is power. But boy, knowledge and power with action is life-changing. Arlene says, I hear you, and I'm outside of Buffalo. My problem is a new agent has been getting past the gatekeeper. I find it incredibly hard to meet with the owner and talk to them. Brittany, YouTube video, honey. Go watch it like 50 times. Don't get past the gatekeeper. That's your number one mistake. 30 to 1 is basically 1 each week. Am I understanding that correctly? Nathan, Brian, Nathan, somebody jot that down and let's come to that at the Q&A time, because the answer is no. 30 to 1, 30 to 1, power, empowering. 180 to 1 was the light bulb. Okay, got it. All right. Now, if y'all are super curious, how many of you would love to see what the best of the best is? Like, I mean, BOTB, best of the best. Some of the very best people I have ever seen in all of my days of coaching people. What do you think we've been able to get people to on their, what we call a war report? You want to see the best of the freaking best? Check this out. Look at that. 10 to 1, same activity, 5 to 1. If you are crazy psychotic and you're willing to go to the mat and you'll practice at these ninja classes and you'll kick your ass, or you'll let the coach kick your ass, 2 to 1. Every 2 hands that you shake, they schedule an appointment. Every 2 hands you shake, they schedule an appointment. Do you know the number one secret to going from 10 to 1 to 2 to 1? Does anybody want to know the number one secret to go from 10 to 1 to 2 to 1? Nathan, you nailed it. It's your avatar. Know who your avatar is and then practice like crazy delivering the who, what. Who do you serve, or who are you? Who do you serve, and what do you do for the who you serve? What's your outcome? That'll take you from a 10 to 1 to a 2 to 1 without objections. Well, not without, but almost eliminating objections. Look at that sexiness. Look at that sexiness. Best I've ever seen. Some of the best of the best of the best will run 75% of their appointments. They will only have 1 out of 4 that will cancel, push, or no-show. And by the way, what you should be hearing on this is you will always have a cancel, push, or no-show rate. You will never be 1 for 1. You will always have a certain number of decision makers that no matter how good you get, will not schedule the appointment. That's okay. You will always have a certain number of appointments you run that will not close. That's okay. But how many of you want to be at 180 to 1 or 30 to 1 or my gosh, 4 to 1? 4 handshakes, a new group. 4 handshakes, a new group. Somebody tell me how many weeks are in a quarter? 13. Thank you. Yes, 13 weeks in a quarter. So back in my Aflac days, we had to invent a new award for our regional operation. We called it the Lightning Strike Award because we were the Tucson Lightning region and we were the Colorado Springs or SoCo Lightning region. So the 2 operations I ran were lightning regions. Thunder talks, lightning strikes, baby. And we invented a new award and we called it the Lightning Strike Award. And the whole idea was, in order to get into that exclusive club, you had to open 10 accounts or more in a quarter. How many do you think opened 10 or more accounts in the entire United States of America? How many operations have agents, plural? How many regional operations have plural agents opening more than 10 accounts every quarter? Yeah, Jeff's right. 0. There are 0 regional operations that have plural agents opening 10 or more accounts in a quarter. I don't know if anybody does. We did. We were giving away 3 and 4 and 5 Lightning Strike awards per year. Patty Whitman knows because she was on my team. And it's because of this right here. Did I have the biggest team in the United States? No, I had one of the smaller ones. But more importantly than size of team is we weren't doing 180 contacts to one freaking group. Our team was somewhere between War on Profit benchmark, and some of my team, my Lightning Strikers, were some of my best of the best. 4 handshakes, new group. 4 handshakes, new group. 4 handshakes. These people were opening a freaking new account every single week as new associates. And we had a couple veterans even crushing it like that. Now, how do you do that? Well, you simply go make more calls. You do more activity. You talk to more people, right? Who's learning something right now? Like, I want to know who's learning. Guys, I hope that this is coming through the computer properly, because this sheet that I just shared with you is life-changing when you combine it with the goal setting above. I am so sick and tired of insurance agents surviving a freaking nightmare and calling it their dream. I am so tired of it. Either live a dream or get out of the business. Love ya. All right. If you're still learning, we're going to move on to page, I think it's 4 now. The numbers game you've never been taught. The numbers game you've never been taught. There are 2 schools of thought when it comes to increasing your profit and sales. Make more calls, fill in the blank, do more activity. Or work smarter, fill in the blank, improve your skill set, declare war on profit. Now, I'm going to give you some like real numbers. Like, this was cute. This thing right here is like, holy freaking crap. 4 handshakes, 1 new group. I don't think it's possible. I think Zach's full of crap. Well, go pull up the old numbers. You can see how many people were opening 10, 11, 12, and 13 accounts per freaking quarter. Simple math game. We're going to assume $10,000 AP per group and that you're on a level 1 standard contract, no broker splits. That would be a 32-point contract if you're with Aflac, okay? Your hierarchy says, here's what you need to do. You need to make 100 calls. And do you know what they tell you? Most of you've been taught your whole career you need to make 100 calls. How often? How many calls do you need? 100 calls. How often? Meg, there we go. Y'all are liars. Every single day is what they tell you. 100 dials a day. You need to be reaching out to 100 people a day. A day. Holy crap. Well, no freaking wonder they're telling you 100, because you know what 100 will get you? 10 decision makers, which is 10%, which will get you 3 appointments scheduled, which will get you 1 appointment ran, which will get you 0 new groups. Somebody just said, I had a trainer tell me 250. Well, that's because that's what happens. You come back and say, hey, boss, I ain't making no money. And the boss says, well, all you need to do is make more calls. Well, I'm already making 100. Well, if you're making 100, all you need to do is make 200. So you go make 200 a day. You finally get a hold of 20 decision makers at 10% is 6, is 3, is 0 to 1 new groups. You finally freaking land that new group and you make $3,000. Because my friend, sales is a numbers game. Now, whoever said, no wonder 90% of insurance agents fail, the real number is a lot closer to 98%. And this is the shit as to why. Anybody hearing me loud and clear right now? If you are a coordinator and you're on my call right now and you're teaching people to do more activity, just know that I'm coming for you hard in the paint in 2024. I'm going to light a fire under your ass so big you're not going to be able to sit down. I'm so tired of the mental anguish that we put people through by telling them to just go make more calls. Because I'm going to save us a whole bunch of time. You need to get your pen out. You need to write this crap down because this right here is freaking mind-blowing. Same exact activity is either worth $6,000 or $0, $3,200, or $38,000. You decide. Now, I know some of you do not believe this. You can't understand it. You're not having your head wrapped around it, and that's okay. Like, I don't blame you. Very, very few people understand how to take 200 calls, make contact with 60 decision makers, and turn that into $38,000 in commission. Very few people know how to do it. Most people, it's much, 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 much easier to just say, go do more calls. And then you wonder why you go through the meat grinder and you just get exhausted and burnt out and worn out and you're not sure you want to be in the business anymore. I do not understand why we have so many agents who stay in this business and make virtually no money. We got agents who don't make $38,000 in an entire year, and they've been with the company 2 and 3 and 4 years. You better be making $38,000 a quarter. I mean, assuming you want to. Maybe you like being broke. I don't know. Y'all, if you're going to stay in the insurance business, please declare war on profit. Figure out how to at least turn your activity into profit. Stop this BS of just do more, just do more. Do you have to give a certain defined level of activity? Yes, it's called bench or bar. But against that bench or bar activity, I want to see 200 calls equal 40 decision maker handshakes equal $6,000 in commission, or you're screwing something up bad. And then as you're working on your skill set, that same 200 will become worth $10,000. And for some of you, not all of you, you're going to have to be a professional level athlete if you want to take that same 200 and turn it into 38,000. Not everybody gets there. That is the best of the best. So I think it's safe to say we're learning a couple things right now. All right. Let's start putting a bow on this thing. We're going to start wrapping it up, and then I'm going to open it up for some Q&A. We're going to do some fun stuff here in a minute. Build your prospect pipeline. Now you got to build your prospect pipeline. So let's back up real quick. We're going to start all the way at the beginning. We know that we've got to have SMART goals. We know we got to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Behind that, we're going to use Zach's framework to know what our SMART goal is, what's our motivation, how are we going to bind it with time, we're going to plan our failure, we're going to double plan our failure, we're going to know what our reward and recognition is. Gave you a good example of what that looks like. Once you have that goal outlined, you're going to declare war on your freaking profit and understand that will multiplied by skill multiplied by contract equals profit in the bank. How many of you understand this line right here to a whole new level now? Like, it makes sense in a way you've never thought of till now. How many of you understand now the importance of bench and bar? And how many of you understand if you're going to have a bench and bar with a goal, you might as well get freaking good at what you do and do something between war on profit benchmark and best of the best. Somewhere between, that's a huge range from 30 to 1 to 4 to 1, but I'll take it. Either one, war on profit all the way to best of the best, will make you wildly profitable in this business. How many of you now understand that? Because as far as I'm concerned, your only other option is to just hang out somewhere between national average and try to do a little bit better than 180 to 1. Oh, good. You're at 90 to 1. High five. Okay. Now that you understand all that crap, it's really important that you understand your pipeline. There are 2 types of pipelines, and if you want to be wildly successful at this stuff and get towards that best of the best, you have to have both. Now, this is assuming if you want to do something in this realm right here, if you want to do something in that world right there, you do not have to have both pipelines. Anywhere in that realm, if you guys want to do psychotic stuff where you become literally some of the best of the best and you turn that same level of activity into nearly $40,000, then pay attention to what I'm teaching you right now, because this is freaking powerful. That's this right here. To build your pipeline, a 6-figure pipeline, you're going to have both. You're going to have outbound and inbound. What is examples? And I'm looking in my chat window. What are examples of outbound traffic or outbound prospects? Okay, so approaches, I assume that's probably field approaches, cold calls, you contact first. Oh, I get it. Yeah. You're reaching out to them first. I love that. That's good. All right. So outbound. Examples of outbound. Cold calls. All the stuff that you guys mentioned where you're making first contact. So trick question for you. Networking. Networking is outbound. Referrals. Outbound. So all the crap that you say you love doing because you hate cold calling ain't no different, y'all. Cold calling is the same as networking, is the same as stupid referrals. The idea that referrals are like the be all end all is so silly. The only reason that you think referrals are the be all end all is because you don't understand how the law of familiarity works. So listen to me, like referrals are amazing. I love referrals. Like referrals are gold. However, when you understand truly the law of familiarity and how to use it to your advantage, referrals and cold calls don't have a ton of difference between them. Now, inbound would be the golden referral. That's the referral where the buddy told the other buddy, hey, you need to call my guy. Hey, you need to call my girl. And the referral calls your cell phone and says, hey, you did a thing for my buddy over at the company. I want your help. That's an example of an inbound. What would be other examples of inbound? Lead gen, automated touches, signage and advertising. Yeah, KS, part of outbound is cold calls for sure. Warm leads, Darlene. Not necessarily, right? A lot of us consider referrals to be a warm lead because it was something we didn't necessarily generate on our own. So inbound is this simple. Inbound is where they are literally calling you or emailing you or reaching out to you or hitting you up on your website. It's inbound. It came from outside and it came into your pipeline without your involvement. Now, how in the world do you get referrals? Typically, for most of you, this is how it's going to work. You're going to get referrals where they see so much value in what you're doing, they refer you, and the referral calls you. How do you get that to happen? How do you make that part of your sales process? No, you don't ask, Brittany. I love it, but no. Jeff, excellent service is expected these days. Don't give me excellent service and I'll fire you. Give me excellent service and I won't fire you. If you want to get referrals that call you, you're going to have to learn to provide more value. It's that simple. So is sales a relationships game? Is sales a relationship game? For those of you that are still taking notes, is sales a relationships game? Yeah, it is. Kinda, sorta. I'll go with yes and no, whatever. It's kind of a relationship game. But the real answer is it's a value game. I will replace a relationship if somebody else provides more value. And most of you on this call today, there you go, Amber. Oh, I love that. Relationship plus value equals lifelong client. That is good right there. Somebody give it up for Amber Palek. Relationship plus value, relationship and not enough value, client for a little while. All right. A six-figure pipeline will have 250 prospects in it at all times, and somewhere between secrets 1 through 8 of what we would call back in the day, the 8 Secrets Master Class, which I'm going to give you all those details in just a minute. A six-figure pipeline will have 250 prospects in the pipeline at all times in somewhere of secrets 1 through 8 of the 8 Secrets Masterclass. Now, some of you are going, what the frick did he just say? Here's all you need to remember. 250 at all times in your pipeline. Can I get an amen? Zach, I'm a veteran and I have a big book of business and I don't have time to have that many. Well, okay, good for you. If all you, assuming this is 250, assuming you want to grow a new six-figure revenue stream. If you don't care about growing a new six-figure revenue stream, then you could dial that back to 50. But should you always, regardless of where you're at in your career, if you're a multi-millionaire, but you're still active in the insurance business, should you have a pipeline? I would argue yes. And why should you have a pipeline? That's it right there. Kylie says, because otherwise you're going to lose. Listen to me, single carrier reps, if all you're living on is your book of business, then you are literally recycling your own renewals. And now you know why your renewals don't seem to grow the way you thought they would. Well, if all you're writing is the new hires and the occasional referral that just drops in your lap, well, good luck. In the single carrier world, that's called the kiss of death. Now, in the brokerage world, it's not as bad, but in the single carrier world, it's tough. New accounts in the single carrier world are the lifeblood of your business. All right. So what did I just say about a six-figure pipeline? You need to know the 8 secrets. What? 8 Secrets Masterclass. Thank you, Brittany. So what is the 8 Secrets Masterclass? Well, that takes us to step 4, and this is our last page, I believe. Step 4 is you've got to know I call it the 4C battles, right? If you're going to win the war on profit, there are 4 battles that you're going to have to fight. The first one is content, community, coaching, and contracts. And then tools and technologies because I couldn't figure out how to make it a C. So it's the 4C star battle.